Well, there we have it, guys. Fiji versus Georgia, 17 points to 12. Fiji taking this one. Didn't think I was going to be saying that at halftime, or maybe even beyond halftime. Well up to that sort of 60th minute. My goodness, Fiji made hard work of this one. Georgia putting in a really solid first half performance, maybe dropping off a little bit in that second half. But my goodness, I was expecting this one going into it to be a bit of a Fiji blowout. And my goodness, they proved me wrong on this one. So the game's literally just finished on my end. So we're going to run through some full-time thoughts, some reactions, some of the key highlights in this game. Of course, make sure you drop down your own thoughts on this game in the comments section, because we're all different. We all have slightly different opinions on the game. And if you enjoy this one and you want to see more of these types of videos, make sure you hit like and the old subscribe button, because it does really help out the channel. So 17 to 12 at halftime, 9-0 to Georgia. And Georgia, you have to say, just looked like the better team, and 9-0 probably didn't even feel fair to them. They had a great couple of opportunities to get over some tries and didn't really seal it. That's kind of the story for Georgia over this World Cup, actually, not even just this game. Just not being able to convert the territory, the possession, the attack into tries. They just can't seem to get over that try line. They had a couple of opportunities in that opening half, but neither of them being allowed, not quite getting over there. A couple of forward passes ruining their own attack. As for Fiji, it might be one of the worst halves I've ever seen for Fiji. Maybe ever. It's certainly of the World Cup and the World Cup warm-ups, but I enjoy watching a Fiji game when I can find them on TV and stuff. It's one of the worst performances, that first half especially. They really, really struggled to get almost anything right. The attack looked flat. They looked out of shape. The line-out situation was terrible. Matavesi just could not land those line-outs at all. Scrummaging was about the only thing going right for them. There was a couple of big attacks from them. They just kept going through the props. I'm astonished how much the props were carrying the ball in this game, as opposed to getting it out wide. They should have looked at what Portugal did to Georgia last week, and getting out to the wings was where they were making the meters. Fiji in this kept getting the ball to midfield and just running it out of Georgian defence rather than getting it wide. Semi Radradra didn't feel like he got his hands on the ball in this game. Just not getting it out wide, constantly going up through the middle. Some very, very bizarre decisions. But their own mistakes, really, the big cause for them. 7 handling errors in that first half, all of them pretty much unforced. They had 2 penalty kicks, not fine touch, which I think definitely rocked Teller a bit, because after those first 2 went wrong for him, he was certainly kicking to touch, but not making a lot of meters, not really hitting that depth of range, and really not allowing the forwards to get on the front foot either. Georgia looked like they bounced back a little bit from that Portugal game. This actual game felt a little bit reminiscent of that Portugal game, right? A really solid first half for them, but not really getting over that try line. And then the second half is where they began to fall off. All of their points going through the boot in that first half. Matt Carver getting his first one in the 5th minute, and then 2 really long-range penalties, actually, from Niniashvili. Some pretty hard kicks from. Nice to see him. He's again another solid performance by him today. A couple of the Georgian lads definitely stepped up for me in terms of putting their hands up for the man of the match on their side of things. But just not being able to get those tries and not being able to put a lot of points on the board. So 9-0 at halftime was still, a decent point scoring for them. They were in the lead. I felt like they probably deserved to have a few more points on the board. The first time in 6 years that Fiji have gone in at halftime with 0 points. And they really needed a big talking to at halftime. But you have to say, coming on that second half, didn't really see a great improvement. Again, Georgia on the front foot. We had Semi Radradra getting his yellow card for a purposeful knock-on. Yep. That was exactly what it was. He watched the ball the whole time and slapped that out. That was a yellow card all day long. Very silly decision. Put Fiji on a massive disadvantage. Georgia kicked all the way up, got involved right on that 5-metre line. Fiji had 3 scrums on the Fijian 5-metre line, kept getting penalties from the back of the scrum, but not converting any of them into tries. And that 3rd scrum, just the ball bobbling out the side, Lobjanidze getting sort of wrapped up by players, ball going a little bit loose, and Fiji survived. The scramble defense for Fiji today was actually very good. It was probably one of the most positive areas for them. Being able to hold off Georgia, not conceding any tries over the course of this game, considering how much of the game they spent on the back foot, was very, very impressive. Again, Georgia, though, not making the most of the yellow card. Had the yellow card, didn't score any points during that yellow card. In fact, Fiji scored a try. Naya Kalevu getting over his try. A lovely, well-worked try off the back of a stolen line-out. Astonishingly, the one area that felt like it was probably the worst of them was the line-out, but they stole a line-out, played that ball out wide. Probably the first time of the game it really felt like the ball had got shipped out wide quickly. Tuisova with a lovely pass out to Naya Kalevu. Had a lot of hard work to do, getting past about 3 defenders and managing to dot that ball down in the corner. At this point, Kuravoli had come off, not got any of his kicks over today. Frank Lamani converted that try, would take them to 7 points to 9, and then 10 minutes or so later got their penalty as well. So Fiji 10-9 at 65 minutes, the first time they got into the lead. Fiji on the big offensive, going through those forwards again, those big carrying games, not really shipping it out wide. Georgian defence holding very strong, which they did all day today. The amount of tackles they made in this one was phenomenal. I thought really solid effort put in by them. But just as that game went on, that number of tackles just began to chip away at Georgia. We saw more and more missed tackles coming in for them. And eventually it led, of course, to the Harbosi try coming through. Bottia, again, off the back of a line-out working well, driving maul, taken on by the prop. Bottia goes on the charge, takes about 5 men with him and somehow gets an offload away. And Harbosi to run that one over, converted by Lamani as well. So 17 points to 9. It just felt like players were getting a bit tired now, and that was really making an impact to the team. Matt Carver did get his penalty in the 80th minute. I think it was actually the 79th minute, but it says 80th on the board because of Joshua Tuisova's yellow card, head-on-head contact. Now, by the end of the game, and me filming this, they haven't said if that has actually got upgraded to a red card, but we'll have to keep a close eye on that if that does get red carded. If it has by the time you're watching it, drop it down in the comment section, because at the minute I don't know if it's been upgraded. But the impact that could make for Fiji going ahead, going on against Portugal, and then maybe beyond to the quarterfinals against England, that'd be a big player to lose if it ends up being a red card and a couple matches of suspension. So Matt Carver pulling them back to within that losing bonus point. Not that it's going to make a massive difference to their World Cup, but getting those extra points just to say how many they'd managed to get in the pool stage of the World Cup, managing to get that losing bonus point. They had the opportunity at the end. They did have an opportunity to maybe steal this game out, going on a big attack right at the end. A lot of tired Fijian players, considering they had a week off. They looked knackered in this game. They looked like they'd just come off the back of another really tough game. And Georgia breaking away, making huge meters. I reckon they made a good 60, 70 meters all the way back up the field. And then Aprazidze with a kick over the top for someone else to chase. Just the wrong decision. You've got to keep that ball on the field. You've got to keep it in your own hands, and you've just got to go through the phases and earn it. Chipping the ball over, and Droa Cisse, who had a fantastic game today, volleying the ball into a touch, but have given your coach a heart attack in terms of trying to kick that ball off, but did manage to get back and recover. So Fiji taking this one 17 points to 12. You kind of feel like Georgia will be really disappointed in this game. There was an immense amount of opportunities for tries. I think they let 3 or 4 really big try scoring opportunities slip through their fingers, with the forward pass, getting to that final play just before they score a try, or the scrums earning them penalties but not being able to convert it, or that final attempt not being able to make the most of it. I genuinely reckon you could probably stick another 15-20 points on Georgia's score if they just worked out that final 5%, and they could have had a real storming game in this one. Fiji might feel a little bit lucky to have got away with a score like this, but their own scramble defence was pretty solid, and they definitely did well to keep Georgia out from scoring a try, giving away those penalties here and there. Getting 7 points while down a man in the yellow card while conceding nothing is a really big positive for them. But there's going to be a couple of worries, I think, moving ahead for Fiji. Now they go on to play Portugal, one last game to just cement where you want to be before we probably most likely go on to see a quarter-final against England, because a lot of the areas where Fiji was struggling today are areas that England like to exploit. The line-out situation is going to be a really big area they need to fix. A lot of the aerial battle with kicking as well. Georgia had some lovely kicks today, and Fiji found themselves in all sorts of issues. England love the kicking game and kicking high and having people chase the ball down. That'll be an area to be a big concern for them as well. The scrummaging for Fiji looks solid. The scramble defence looks solid for them. Discipline, though, in getting those, the high tackles and the purposeful knock-ons, giving away yellow cards is not something you can afford to do against, some of the big teams they'll be coming up against in the the quarterfinals and beyond. So a lot of things to improve for Fiji, but they do manage to come away with this win. For Georgia, they've had an okay World Cup for me. It's just not being clinical enough when you get into that final 5 meters, not converting opportunities into tries. But their defense today was just a mammoth task. I thought they did very, very well in terms of their defensive setup. A lot of solid work from them. Mika Taudze absolutely smashing it in defense. Niniashvili playing extremely well as well. And overall, if you're a Georgian supporter, you might feel that this one was a bit unlucky to just come away with a losing bonus point and not actually be taking the win in this one. But there we have it, guys. That's my my overall thoughts on the game. Make sure, like I said, drop down your thoughts in the comment section because I always enjoy having a read through them. I'm off to go watch Scotland versus Romania, which hopefully will have a few more tries in it than this one because this one was very stop-start. I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit more of an exciting game for me as a neutral. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.